Where's the fun in spoiling? Before Sayori can squirm aside, I've deposited myself practically on top of her. And amidst a cacophony of squeals, laughs, gasps, and pants, our embracing begins anew. It takes mere seconds for cheeky tickling and mischievous wrestling to segue into a much less chaste blend of playtime. Sayori's eyes flutter shut as our mouths hungrily reunite, and the night is only growing younger. I allow myself a slight smirk of satisfaction. I can't help but be pleased with myself over what I've managed to achieve. Sayori must notice my air of smugness, for she opens her mouth in a half-smile of her own amidst her heavy panting, as if on the verge of saying something. Only to swiftly clam up, smiling no more, another wave of doubt clearly starting to creep in. What's wrong?
I was about to ask you just where you learned how to do things like that. But the thought of you working up experience with somebody else, so it's the last thing I want permanently taking up residence in my brain.
Beginner's luck is all it is, honest.
It sure as hell better not be lying, Melody. Because if there was anybody else...
Her voice trails off and she looks away, her moody pout equal parts adorable and heartrending. Hey. I drew her closer for a cuddle. There never was, and there never ever will be. Sayori stiffens at first as I encircle her with my arms. But as soon as the head pats come into play, she's a snuggly little blob of custard once more. I dare not to mention what revelations that had come to bear fruit on this eve. The fabric and foam on the floor speak for themselves, and I'm sure she would much rather not be reminded of such a thing in a moment like this. Sayori, the fact that she feels the need to resort to such measures for her own self-worth fills my heart with a sensation I cannot quite describe. Pads, I'd hardly even seen one before today. Sure, I may not have all that much myself, but considering how much time I've spent over my teenage years worrying about how to live to the next day, it never really crossed my mind. Now, however, I doubt I'll ever manage to banish the thought at all. I'm not that much larger than her. What if that's not big enough? But no, Sayori told me herself that it was fine. I want to trust her, but what would she know? Hell, what would I know? What if she was just saying that? What if she only said it to make me feel better? When I told her it was okay, I meant it. I truly did. Maybe I'll just have to trust that she would do the same for me. Sayori looks up at me, her fingers gently running through my hair.
You okay?
Yeah, I just got thinking.
Huh.
She places her hand upon my face, a soft, warm smile eking across it as she does.
Well, you tell those bad thoughts that they aren't welcome when I'm around, okay?
Yeah, I will. Again, a playful boop on the nose, triggering that magnificently musical titter of mirth. We find ourselves curled up, near motionless, in one another's embrace. Floating, basking peacefully in that delicious half-awake, half-dreaming state that accompanies a rosy, mellow afterglow. The previous day's doubt and conflict cast into the ether and gone. I smiled contentedly into Sayori's auburn locks, inhaling deeply of that strawberry aroma, that ambrosial scent. Once again, everything is right with the world. Right with our bond. My bond with Sayori. The best friend one could ever ask for.
I think you're more than friends at this point. Alright, so this is the sleepover day, right? Are we good to go yet? I don't actually know.
As my senses slowly come to me, I bring a hand to my head. I've got a splitting headache. Slowly sitting up, I almost collapse back down again. My hips. What the hell? Everything from the waist down refuses to cooperate with my brain. Rolling my eyes, I force myself up, sliding out of bed. As I do, I fall flat on my face. Ugh! Was I doing yoga or something? In front of my face, now sore from the impact, I see something white. It looks like a piece of fabric, and not something I recognize. The round, relatively flat material reminds me of something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Picking it up, I finally regain my feeling on my legs. I shrug, deciding to examine the thing over breakfast. As I walk out of my door, I see something else lying on my floor. And I pause. That's not mine. I then look back to the thing in my hand. Ah! I pick up the fabric and place the object next to it on my bed, and after a moment find the pair to go with it. I'll have to give Sayori her bra back later. She might need it if she plans to go out. Including the pads that go with them, of course. Just thinking about it makes me a little sick, honestly. The fact that she relies on these things for her own self-worth. Just like I mentioned yesterday. She doesn't need them. One day I'll have to prove that to her. She's perfect the way she is, at least in my humble opinion. I then walk down the stairs where I can smell something cooking. Sayori seems concentrating on frying something in the pan, and as much as I don't want to disturb her, screw it, I can't resist. Sneaking up behind her, I slowly wrap my arms around her waist, pulling her in. She lets out a small yelp as she turns to face me. Hey.
You startled me.
Sayori brings her free hand to her face, placing the spatula she'd been using on the counter.
I'm so happy to see you.
It seems to then be her turn to bring me in, this time for a kiss. After a few seconds, her arm leaves my face, and I hear the stove turn off. It looks like she's planning for the long haul today. We remain embraced, our food long since forgotten. Are you sure you want to welcome me to work? It's not exactly my idea of fun.
Well, we'll be with you.
I can't help but blush. She's never been so overt before. Hell, I'm not sure she's even flirted with me before Monday. But who am I to complain? All right, let's head off then. Grabbing my work bag, I lock the front door, and the two of us head off along the road. As we walk, we spend little time talking. My mind was far too occupied to talk, after all. All I could think of was last night. I'd never seen Sayori so emboldened, yet shy at the same time. But one thing still lingered on my mind. I know we brushed on the topic last night, but...
Oh, no, not in public, please.
Turning to face her, I expected her to be embarrassed, but instead she simply looked uncomfortable. All right, sure.
That's not something I want anyone else finding out about.
I could imagine. But it's all right. Slightly confused, she raises an eyebrow. As I said last night, you're perfect. Just as you are is the way I like you. It's then that I put two and two together. If the bra is currently on my floor, that would mean Sayori isn't wearing it. A quick glance confirmed my suspicion, but I quickly find myself feeling guilty for the action. Though she might have opened up to me, in many senses of the word last night, it doesn't feel right to make a note of something that's caused her so much strife. I'll have to remind her to collect it when she gets home.
You think she won't notice herself?
Hell, I don't know how she even forgot it in the first place. I open my mouth to remind her, but pause, not wanting to drag this out anymore. As Sayori's expression is starting to weaken, I decide to change the topic.
I never can tell the distinction whenever you can, make any more 2 words versus 1 word. Like, there are certain contexts where you want it to be 2 words, but I feel like this is one of those contexts where it can be 1 word. I can't brain today.
But honestly, who'd have even conceived the idea, eh? Honestly, it took me by surprise. Sayori pauses for a split second, causing me to follow suit.
What do you mean by surprise?
And she began walking again. I wasn't expecting that at all, you know?
After all that, and you...
She sighs.
What were you expecting?
Honestly, I was expecting us to just sit down and talk for the evening. I feel like we haven't done that lately, you know?
I see.
I see a small cloud covering your expression.
Well, we have to sleep over tonight after you finish work, so I don't think we'll get that chance with everyone around.
Well, it'll be nice for us all to hang out. We're all friends here, after all.
Excuse me?
Before I can properly respond to her question, we arrive at the cafe, abruptly interrupting both our conversation and my train of thought. Stepping inside, I see my boss waiting for me.
Hey, kid. Good to see you. Any chance you could start early? We just had a delivery come in.
Looking at my watch, I figure an extra 20 minutes of pay was worth it. Yeah, I'll start early.
Who's this here, by the way?
My boss motions towards Sayori, currently half hiding behind me. Smiling awkwardly, I respond by gesturing toward her. This is my best friend, Sayori. As I turn toward her, I see that clouded expression return. As much as I want to ask her about it, it'll have to wait until after I finish work. Hey, Sayori, I'll meet you at your place after I finish, all right? You've got my spare key, so just make sure to grab your stuff out of my house before you forget. I then see her expression change to one of horror. Bringing her hands to her chest, she freezes.
Oh, I'll see you after work, Melody. You just remembered something.
And with that, she bolts out of the store. And I wanted to make her a coffee, too.
Oh, there'll be time for that later. Besides, I think you've got some explaining to do there.
Explaining? Of what, Sayori?
Well, that'd be right. I've never seen you even mention any friends before, and here you are bringing one along. Especially when you seem so close with.
That's true. I don't talk about my life very much, do I? Mostly I just listen to your tales.
Well, time to spin one of your own, I reckon. Just don't let it distract you from those crates, mind you.
My boss lets out a hearty laugh. I would never. I follow suit and pick up the first crate, preparing to take it to the fridge. Toward the afternoon, I find myself contemplating the events of the past few days.
Hey kid, you're spilling that milk.
Oh, sorry, I'll clean it up right now.
Well, don't worry so much. We ain't so busy no more, and you look like you've got a lot on your plate.
You're too kind.
Haha, you're darn right I am.
Another laugh escapes his mouth.
But you still haven't told me yet.
Clicking my tongue, I sigh. Oh, what haven't I told you?
Oh, don't play dumb with me. You got that wrong last night, or I'd like to hear more about it.
Well, sighing, I figure it would be faster to get it over with. Honestly, I only actually reconnected with her last week. We were thick as thieves as kids, but we sort of drifted apart after we got into high school. My boss shoots me a knowing look.
I know what that means. Tell me though, who did this stupid thing first?
That would have been me.
Ha, with how outgoing you are, that don't surprise me none. So considering she's back by your side, it couldn't have been that bad, yeah,
Wait. Hold. Did he mean this, like, sarcastically? Because she's not outgoing. She's, like, introverted. Isn't that, like, her whole problem?
No, not as such. It was just poor timing. My boss goes silent for a second.
It was her, wasn't it?
Yeah, I owe a lot to my boss, to be honest. He gave me a job when no one else would. I mean, who would give a job to someone without parents? But that's not what he's on about this time.
You know, it ain't your fault. People change, relationships change. Someone you knew you like the back of your hand one day will become someone completely different in the next. That's just a part of life, kid. If she really is the one, and she's come back to you, well, you've really got no choice there, do you?
Placing a hand on my shoulder, he smiles.
Now, don't let me down, hey, kid?
Yeah,
And don't let me catch you feeling sorry for yourself over what happened way back with your ma'am, all right? That's its own beast to slay, and you ain't got time to tackle both at once. Deal with this one first, then start unpacking it. No point in burning your candle from both ends.
seeing my reluctance, the boss walks to the front of the store and turns the sign from open to closed.
Told you what, I'll make your coffee. You look like you need it.
I can't help but smile. As he makes his way back toward the coffee machine, I pour some milk into a jug for him.
Well, thanks for that, kid. It'll be just a moment. Go sit down and make yourself at home. In fact, grab that lemon cheesecake. It'll last to the end of the day anyway.
Shall do. Grabbing the knife, I take the small cake from the display shelf and cut it in half, placing each slice onto a plate. I then brought the plates out to one of the smaller tables, placing myself down and one of the cakes in front of me. After I get settled, I see the old guy make his way over to me, the 2 mugs in hand.
There you are, just the way you like it.
I look at it. It's very clearly a long black. I don't. I'm interrupted by his laughter.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Swapping the cup.
My god. I'm losing it.
Swapping the cup in his hand for mine, it reveals the latte. I nod to myself in approval, taking a sip.
So, tell me your woes, why don't you?
It's something I should probably be fixing on my own.
Well, do you want my opinion at the very least?
I smile. His forceful type of love is something that never fails to bring out the best in me. Sure.
Well, if I might sour the mood a little, why did you introduce her as your friend?
Huh? What do you mean?
When you walked in, it was Sayori, my best friend, not Sayori, the person I'm currently seeing. Did you not want me to know?
Well, she is my best friend.
Best friends don't sleep with each other here, or each other, kid. Not if they value that friendship. At least not if they don't talk it out, or talk it through first. And you, kid, haven't talked that through.
He shakes his head.
No, it's not something you have to prove to me. That's a conversation to have with her. I can tell she means a lot to you. That much is obvious. But there's been no communication with you two. I could tell from even that short meeting.
How?
Did you even notice her face when you introduced her?
No?
All I'm saying is, if you don't talk to her, all you'll be left with is a worse problem than what you had when you started. What you had back in middle school, kid. She's a good lass. Don't you go around hurting her, all right?
I don't plan to.
Good.
Smiling, he stands back up, having finished his cake.
Now, let's get back to work, shall we? You've been paid for sitting down, so you had better earn that break by working twice as hard, aye?
Smiling, he waves me off, making his way toward the door. Absolutely. Gathering the remaining cutlery, I watch my boss turn the sign back to open and 3 people walk inside as soon as he does. Walking back over to me, he whispers.
In regards to the other thing, you aren't her. You know that deep down.
Then he turns to serve the customers. After finishing work, I began the long trek back home.
And there it goes. There's the sleepover. Oh, but some parts will be different.
Well, we glance at each other. I do want to talk to her about what happened last night, but actually, one of the first things I noticed about her is that she's replaced her pants. I guess that means she isn't comfortable sharing that information with the club, which doesn't surprise me. Did you get your stuff from my house?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. It's been a crazy day, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, since everyone's late.
Great minds think alike.
Bringing her in, I feel her soft hair in my arms, mere moments before I feel her lips clash with mine. Like a battle for supremacy, we fight to prove ourselves. Sierra might be skilled, but she's no match for my tenacity, and I press my advantage, lowering her onto the couch. It takes mere moments for my dominance to shine through, and for her nails to dig into my back as
Oh, my hair zone.
I ignore her, instead increasing my assault. After all this time, I'll take any opportunity I get. Panicked, I pull away, glancing at my watch. Exactly 5 p.m. Oh shoot, that's Yuri.
Aw, bye.
Looking at Sayori, she's a mess. Her hair's been ruffled, her clothes are only half worn.
Wait, no, she can't.
I'll stall her. Go, go. Sayori quickly gathers herself and makes for the bathroom, and I head for the door. Walking over to the front door, I open it up to see Yuri standing there. Oh, she's making hot chocolates for everyone. Oh, that'll be lovely.
Hey, make an excuse for Sayori once.